This video is going to talk about how to find the area of trapezoids. The first thing, as I go off screen, that you need to know about trapezoids is that they are all half of parallelograms. So if you take a look at this big long parallelogram, you can see that there are two trapezoids in it. The trapezoids are one of them is oriented up and the other is oriented down. So they're flip-flopped next to each other. These two lengths are the same, or they would be had I not drawn them on the whiteboard, and these two lengths are the same. If you look at this parallelogram, you see that these two lengths are the same and these two lengths are the same. It's the same shape flipped upside down and then put next to itself. Same thing over here. Same length, same shape, just flipped and put next to itself. So we're going to use a very similar formula to A equals base times height. But we don't need the entire formula that we would for a rectangle, or for a parallelogram. What we do need is we need half of that, and we also need to adjust the base a little bit because of that weird flip-flop thing. So the formula is going to be the base times the height. So we have the base right here, except because the base of a parallelogram goes all the way across, and we want both of those bases, what we're going to do is we're going to add the bottom base plus the top base so that we get the distance all the way across of the parallelogram so that we can find the area of this whole parallelogram. So this is base 1 plus base 2. Then we have the height. The height is going to be that line that goes all the way from the bottom to the top. It goes from base to base, and it has to be exactly 90 degrees. It has to be perpendicular to the base. But we don't want all of this because this would find the area of the parallelogram. We want to find half of it. So after we add the two bases up and we multiply it times the height, that will get us all of this information. Everything in here. We don't want everything in here. We just want half of it. We just want this trapezoid. So what we do is we multiply it by a half, or we divide it by half, so that we end up getting just the area of a trapezoid. Now, if that doesn't make 100% sense to you, that's okay. The main thing you need to know is how to follow the formula, and we're going to go over that right now. So let's go ahead and scoot on over here to our many examples. Whoops. So, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take a look at this parallelogram. It has two bases. One base is 5 meters, the other is 9 meters. And it has a height of 3 meters. So the first thing I want to do is go over into this blank space so that I can write the formula. A equals, am I doing okay? Yes. 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Now it's a little bit confusing because I have two bases. I have the B1 and the B2. I have to take the top and the bottom measurement. So just be prepared to do that. So, A equals 1/2. Instead of B1, I'm going to pick one of the heights. In my head, it makes sense to make 5/1 because it's on top and 9/2 because it's on bottom. If you switch around B1 and B2, life will go on. Everything will be okay. So I'm going to put 5 for my base 1 plus 9 for my base 2. And then I'm going to multiply it times the height, which is 3. You might notice over here that I gave you two formulas. That's two different ways to write the formula. You can absolutely write it other ways. I choose to remember 1/2 base times height, and then you just take base 1 and base 2. So it's 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times height. If it works for you a different way, that is okay, so long as you can make it work. Now I get to solve. And because I'm following PEMDAS, there's only one thing I can do first, and that's inside the parentheses. So I will have A equals 1/2, 5 plus 9 is going to be 14, 1/2 times 14 times 3. My next step is going to be to get rid of that 1/2 because I want to multiply small numbers. So that will be A equals half of 14 is going to be 7 times 3. So my area is going to be 21 meters squared for that red trapezoid. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at this trapezoid, and let's do the same exact thing. I know you can tell this is a little bit work heavy, but if you take it step by step, it's a bunch of little steps that add up, some add up, some multiply, but that get you to your answer. So let's go ahead and let's write out this information. I'm actually going to erase this so I have more room, because trapezoids. A equals 1/2 B1 plus B2 times height. So when I plug in my numbers, the 1/2 stays the same. Base 1 will be 3 plus base 2 will be 4 times the height of 2. So I'm going to follow PEMDAS. The 1/2 stays. 3 plus 4 is going to be 7 times 2. Now I'm at a part where I could multiply 1/2 times 7 first and get rid of that 1/2, but 7's not even. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold off, and I'm going to multiply 7 times 2 first, which is 14. A equals 1/2 times 14. And then, what's 1/2 of 14? Well, I just multiplied it by 2, so dividing it by 2 will get me back down to 7. So my area will be 7 inches squared. Alright, let's go ahead and let's take a look at some trapezoids where we don't have all the information, including some of the labels. So let's take a look at this orange problem. I'm actually going to erase the same workspace I've been using, so you can go back and look if you need to see that information again. All videos have a rewind function. So what we're going to do, I have the area, I have the bases. I need to know the height. So to figure this out, I'm first going to write out the formula. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in everything that I know. I know that the area is 20 feet squared, so I'm going to put 20 equals 1/2. I know base 1. Base 1 is 4. Base 2 is 6. I don't know the height, so I'm just going to put h. Now I'm going to solve for as much as I can in this situation. 20 is going to stay the same. 1/2 will stay the same for right now. 4 plus 6 is 10. So I'm going to add 4 plus 6 and get 10. So now I have 20 equals 1/2 times 10 times h. So let's go ahead and find 1/2 of 10, which is 5. Copy down everything I didn't touch. And now I have 20 equals 5 times h, or 20 equals 5h. To get rid of that 5, I'm going to divide by 5 on both sides and get 4 for my height. So my height is going to be 4 feet. And I've just solved for my height. Let's go ahead and take a look at one more problem. And I know that the problem's green. I'm going to switch things up and use a different marker because I'm not liking the way the green is showing up. So we're actually going to put that in pink because I can. So again, I have the area, I have the base 1, which is 2 inches. I don't think that's showing up very well. And I have the base 2, which is 10 inches. So let's go ahead and figure out what the height is. A equals 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times the height. Let's go ahead and plug in everything I know. For the green problem, I know that the area is 72 inches square. I know that the half stays. Base 1 is 2, plus base 2 is 10, times the height, which is unknown, so that stays in h. So the next thing I have to do is add up here. So 72 stays, the 1/2 stays, 2 plus 10 is 12 times h. I have 72 equals 1/2 times 12 times h. Let's go ahead and take rid of that half times 12. 72 equals half of 12 is 6h. Now to get rid of the 6, I want to, okay, that's showing up right. To get rid of the 6, I want to divide by 6 on both sides. H over here. 72 divided by 6 is going to be 12. So my height is going to be 12 inches. On your homework tonight, I would like for you to find me the area of a trapezoid with a base 1 of 3 feet, a base 2 of 5 feet, and a height of 10 feet.